Dum 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 dum. Alright, apologies for the horrible rendition of the Jaws theme you just heard, but in my defense, if I'd actually done a good job, I would have gotten copyright flagged, so yay. Anyway, I watched Jaws for the first time this year in anticipation of playing this game. Yes, I know, it took me a while to watch it. Sorry. I just never got around to it, okay? And so now I'm going to give my thoughts on the board game, what it does well, what I think it does not so well, and whether or not it's also a horrible rendition of the movie. Alright, so what does the game do well? Well, theme. It does a really great job with the theme. It's a one versus all game, meaning that one player plays the shark, the other players play the crew, and it's also a two-part game. In Act 1, you are on the island trying to rescue swimmers and put barrels on the shark, and in the second part, you're on the ship trying to fight off the shark. So it follows the movie almost to the T, and does a really good job with that. Another thing it does well is the artwork. The artwork is all original artwork. A lot of the times with cheap movie tie-in games, they'll just take screenshots from the movie and paste them onto cards, and it just looks super tacky. But this game does not do that. It's Prospero Hall together with Ravensburger, and they typically do a great job of creating new artwork for their games, so good job on that part. Some of the components feel a little bit cheap, but overall good with the art and theme on this one. Now let's get into the cons. Alright, so my primary problem with this game is that it kind of touts itself as a deduction game, but it doesn't have any deduction, and the choices are kind of random. So in the first part, the shark is moving around, and you're supposed to try and deduce where it is by taking various actions, but ultimately, it doesn't feel like deduction to me. Deduction is like in Clue, where you're strategically eliminating what options are not available. But in this, you can never actually eliminate anything because the shark moves around constantly. And so it just feels kind of random. You're literally just throwing barrels into the water to see if anything sticks. And I didn't really like the randomness. And in the second part of the game, the shark can put out 3 different tokens showing where they might pop up and surface. But again, it seems like a choice, but ultimately it just ends up being kind of random. And then the crew members have to decide which space to attack and target. But again, it just feels kind of random, and that leads me to my next point, which is that the game is extremely swingy. What I mean by that is that it feels like the balance of power can rapidly shift from the crew to the sharks and back again. And granted, one might say that that kind of follows the theme of the movie, and sure, but I don't think that necessarily makes for a good game, in my opinion. So those are my problems with it. Let's get into my final thoughts. Alright, so let's get into my final thoughts. Now, I was being a bit facetious as to whether or not this is a terrible rendition of the movie, because it's actually not. It is actually a very accurate representation of the movie, which begs the question, do I recommend it? Well, that depends on who you are. If you are a huge fan of the movie Jaws, if it's in your top 10 and you really like that movie, I have no doubt that you will love this board game. It's thematic, it follows the movie, it has all the characters, and the cards make references to movie scenes and things like that. Very well done. Clearly, whoever designed this really liked the movie, and it did a good job with that. So if you like the movie, you'll probably like the game. Now, for those of you who maybe just have a passing interest in the movie and you like board games, I don't think there's anything for you here. So I would pass on it in that case. But anyway, those are my thoughts on Jaws the board game. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I hope to see you again in another video. Take care. Bye.